Alright, so for those of you just tuning in, we're about to spectate a 3v3 on the map arena between my higher rated viewers, which is of course part of my weekly Twitch TV live streams. If you want to get in on this, you can find a link on the screen. Just head on over to my Twitch page, scroll underneath the video player there, and you can find my live streaming schedule, which I do update about every few days. And of course, guys, thank you so much for your continued support, as right now I am desperately waiting for an Aoe2 HD patch to rescue me from this buggy, lag-infested mess that we've had for the last 7 months. I'm also craving some new content, so I would love it if we could get a new DLC or something like that. So right now I got my fingers crossed. In the meantime, I might be trying to branch out a little bit, and again, I appreciate your support. Those of you who are wondering how I'm doing, I am in an excellent mood, but my allergies are really bad, so just hanging in there today. But I should feel better in a couple of days whenever the pollen clears up. And let's get into this game. Devil Tay asks, why am I not playing? Because I have played enough Age of Empires 2 for now, and I want to wait until we get a patch that fixes the game. Alright, so we're in here again after the first match. Classic, I have to do it again because Aoe2 HD dropped one of our players, but let's try that again. Looks like we have very different team comps this time, so this is pretty cool. So, on one of the teams, we have Buddy playing as the Red Indians. We have Street Pete AOC playing as the Teal Aztecs. Aoe2 playing as the Purple Magyars. And on the opposing team, we have Hunter playing as the Green Indians. We have Derpina playing as the Yellow Aztecs. And Amazon, aka Forest, playing as the Gray Magyars. Right off the bat, I see something that's very strange and turns me on in some way or another. It appears that these two players are already interlocked. This is one of my favorite things that happens on Arena, and it's really fun when you end up setting Arena to a smaller map size than the actual number of players that you have. I have a video on YouTube of a tiny free-for-all deathmatch, all goths, on Arena, and it's absolutely ridiculous. This isn't that bad. But the interesting thing to note here, though, is that, I don't know if Forrest knows this, but he could actually delete these two walls, slip some units in here, and get into Aoe2's base before he even has a chance to react. Now, we'll see if Twest notices, but he needs to put a stone wall here, or he's going to get rushed. Also, if this gate gets deleted, he could also slip a unit in through here. This is actually very unfair in the advantage of Gray, because well, Purple doesn't actually have the same benefit the way the walls are set up, so that's very funny. I always love it when something like that happens. Thank you so much, Tantel, for the 3-month resub. Really appreciate it. Yes. We'll see how this game goes, and to start off, I want to talk a little bit about the Civ comps that they got, since they're both mirrored, and they all decided to random. I was talking about this before the game disconnected everybody. This idea that it's kind of nice to have a well-balanced team of civilizations rather than, for example, like 3 cavalry civs if you can help it. And in this case, obviously both teams are going to have the same ones because they mirrored, but the previous comp was a little bit better, I think. The Magyars and the Indians are 2 very cavalry-oriented civilizations, but this comp isn't too bad, in my personal opinion, as the Aztecs don't have any cavalry at all, and they do have siege onagers, so that way they have like 1 siege onager civilization, and overall, they have a pretty good mix. Like, each team has 1 Camel Civ, they've got 1 Siege Onager Civ, they've got the strong infantry, and then a lot of very strong cavalry, and the Indians at least have access to gunpowder. So, this will be probably a very good game. Aha! Twest is going to be luring the Wild Boar without Loom in HD. It's a bold move, Cotton. We'll see if that pays off. He's going to shoot the boar twice, of course, and then run it underneath his town center. The reason that Twest is going to do this is because... oh, the boar almost turned around. What's it doing? What is... whoa! Oh! Oh, check out the sick micro! The patience here from Aoe2. Purple waits for the boar to path back around, as the boar can't figure out how to walk a few tiles in the same direction due to the unit pathing. Oh my god. And he does it! Sick boar lure. He's doing the boar lure, of course, because it saves him 100 wood rather than building a mill here, and you want to take the boar in the first place because it's a free source of food, and building farms, not only does it take a while, but it wastes a lot of wood. You'll want to transition to farms at some point because you have to, but in the early game, you want to take advantage of all the free resources that Mother Nature gives you, and this includes the deer, the wild boar, the sheep, the forage bushes. You want to generally take advantage of all those while you're building farms in the early game, and You know, instead of milling this, if you lure it underneath your town center by shooting it twice, you get to save resources on the wood. And also, your villagers just have to sit up to drop off the food rather than walk a few tiles. That's why you lure it to a town center and not a mill. Hey, Ducky Duck, good to see ya. Oh, check out that HD skill. Elkabong says, that's why HD players are more skilled than Voobly players, that lag. I've had some laggy Voobly games myself, but perhaps never quite on this level. It certainly builds character, at least. If it's not skillful, it does build character. Thank you so much, Super Fishy, for the sub. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I hope to see you around. Alright, meanwhile, across the map, we have another board lure going on here. So we check out the Civ matchup. So this is what? The Magyars versus the Magyars. Okay, so it's going to be a mirror match here, and Kanye Twist will be building a house here, so the cheese is going to be a little bit limited from Gray, but opportunities will present themselves if he still deletes this. I really want to see some bizarre cheese on Arena, because it's not too often that players will fight each other on Arena before they hit the Castle Age. And this is because you're surrounded by stone walls, so you're only really threatened in the Castle Age when players have access to siege weapons like battering rams and petards, for example, or just stronger units. Otherwise, it takes too long to get through these walls. That being said, when you have map generation like this, it actually opens up infinite possibilities for some sort of early game aggression. You could flush, you could drush. In fact, I think the drush might be a decent idea here, just to put on some unexpected early pressure. Welcome to the stream, Miss Aimbot. Good to see ya. That'd be very cool to watch. It reminds me of my Break the Meta episode that I did, where we got to see some expert players doing a tower rush on Arena. That was really cool. This could be even better because you don't even have to tower rush here. You could actually just worm your way in there and harass some villagers with militia. I mean, early game rushes are even better on Arena if for some reason you can get away with it just because players don't expect it. They're not going to be structuring their base in a way that their houses actually protect their economy. You know, in general, you'll see players, quick walling around their lumber camp, for example, their foragers. They'll be positioning their houses and palisade walls in a way to protect all of their exterior resource gatherers. That's what you'll see on a more open map like Arena. Ogas, or Street Pete, our teal player here, does have a little bit of a makeshift wall off here, but in general on Arena, players just kind of haphazardly place their buildings around. It makes them significantly more vulnerable to rush. I know that that's how I play personally, so that'd be very interesting to see. Superfishy26, he says, hey Rez, I've been a long-time YouTube stalker. Anyway, I got some cash and I figured that you could use it. Hope everything in life works out for you, bro. Stay with the AoE. I really appreciate it, Superfishy. Thank you so much. Every sub and donation really helps a lot, and especially also those of you who don't use Adblock, so thank you. Hello, Siliphin. Hexomania asks, hey Resonance22, hello Hexomania, he says, do I need to own the expansion to be able to play in the Beaver games? You do not need to own the expansions. You just need to own the base game. Yeah, so again, the Arena metagame is generally a fast castle age into something. We'll usually see players going for monks in the early game to try and control the relics, especially in a 1 versus 1, because Arena games might end up going on a little bit longer, and then that way you'll certainly benefit more from the relic gold in the long game than you will in the short game. They'll have more time to generate you money. Looks to be a fast castle age here from Gray. I'm going to try and remember to refer to the players by their colors to make it easier for you guys. Right now, Gray is attempting to do a deer lure in HD by using his scout to sort of push the deer closer to his town center. But he's doing the resonance lure, which is you compromise. We all know that deer luring is very difficult in HD due to the input delay and the unit pathing, so why don't you compromise and just leave it a little closer to the town center? It's certainly more efficient than just long distance harvesting it, and it makes a big difference. But if it was underneath the town center, that would be even better. So it looks like a blacksmith on market is going down. I think the reason that Gray is going to put it right here is because he wants to give himself more line of sight in case for some reason purple's up to no good and tries to bust his way through these walls. Yeah. It's really funny the way this is set up that purple can't actually delete his own walls to get in here. That's something that only Gray is capable of doing. Very interesting. Blacksmith and market from just about everybody. Now, when they're going for the fast castle age strategy, they're trying to set up their economy so that they only have like 2 or 3 villagers on gold, and they're going to put those on gold near the end of the Dark Age. And you want to set up your economy so that most of your villagers are on food. That way, when you get to the feudal age, you'll have just enough wood to build a blacksmith and a market, so you'll build those immediately, and then you'll have almost 800 food and almost 200 gold. If you're going for a fast castle age strategy, which is a really good idea on any map, like Arena or Black Forest, the maps that are easy to wall, you start with walls, it's a really good idea to go for a fast castle age, because even though you're vulnerable until you get to the castle age, you can generally expect to get there safely. So it's going to be a dominant strategy on a map like Arena. If you're going for a fast castle age and you get to the feudal age, and you happen to have 600 gold, you probably messed up. What you want to do in that case is in the next game, make sure that you have maybe 1 or 2 fewer villagers on gold. Try and set it up so that you have a balance when you get to the feudal age, so you can build up blacksmith in the market and then advance to the castle age immediately once it's finished. Having like 500 extra gold in the bank will not help you in that case, unless you're going for something crazy, as long as it doesn't really delay your castle age too much. Because once you start researching the castle age, that's when you can drastically start restructuring your economy if you're going for something like monks. You know, start assigning a ton of villagers to gold, for example. Sylphin asks, why do we never see petards used? No, you see them in some Break the Meta episodes. Petards do see fringe competitive play, and they're generally useful on a map like Arena because the only advantage that petards offer, because they're awful against actual units, and you end up investing a lot of money in something that is a one-time use and then just dies. It's only good for the element of surprise, because siege weapons, this is a very important concept in Age of Empires too, this element of surprise. Siege weapons give your opponent plenty of time to react. You start ramming down someone's walls, and he has enough time to just muster a defense. And petards deny that. With just 2 petards, you can one-shot a couple pieces of walls and then just get your entire army through, and your opponent will have absolutely no time to set up any sort of defense. So that's what they're good for. The problem is, though, is that you need to have a castle first, so again, that gives your opponent more time to be prepared in case you do end up going for a petard bust, because you have to build that castle first. Still, the element of surprise is huge, and it has won many competitive games of Age of Empires too, as a lot of players do continually underestimate the power of petards. They are a decent unit. I think I did, Ladiak, yes. Hello, Colored Mirror Ball, good to see ya. So yeah, it looks like Gray will be going for a fairly standard Monk and Mangonel play. You sent me tribute? Oh, you followed me. Thank you so much to Traders for the follow, I appreciate it. Yeah, you own me now. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what we have right here is a very standard Monk and Mangonel combo rush. This strategy is very good for a number of reasons. So, for one, we have to think about covering our weaknesses. By the way, he should really just, I guess he doesn't need to delete the gate right now. But he needs to make sure that this villager doesn't build a quick wall off. I think he should be moving in a little bit closer. This is a very good combination because when you consider the weaknesses of both of these units, they cover each other quite nicely. So, for example, the Mangonel is very weak to a unit like a Knight, which is a very resilient melee unit with a reasonable move speed that can just come in there and kill a Mangonel in 5 hits. And the Mangonel is going to have no way of actually dealing with that because the Mangonel has minimum range. And that's exactly where the Monks come in, as the Monks are an excellent counter to Knights. Knights are incredibly expensive and they're melee, so the Monks will have plenty of time to convert them, and if you do, it's like you added another Knight to your army and your opponent lost one. So it's a huge... If Age of Empires 2 operated off tempo, that would be a huge tempo swing. So, in general, this is a very good combination. Of course, both of these units are hard countered by light cavalry, which is a legitimate option for Purple if he feels threatened enough. Purple is going to be putting down a bunch of house walls, and I feel like this is a missed opportunity from Gray. Perhaps Gray doesn't realize that he could delete this gate and just get in there. He could be killing all these villagers right now, preventing this house wall from going out. Still, though, at the end of the day, I would say that Gray is coming out of this fine just because he's forced 4 villagers off the line. This is a very important concept in Navy as well, is this idea that you don't have to kill your opponent's villagers to actually do enough damage with your military units in the early game. Just forcing them to build walls, for example, this is a big waste of wood, and it also means that these villagers could have been gathering resources. There are a lot of resources lost. Killing villagers is obviously better, but you don't need to kill them to make an effective rush. Still, though, this is something that Purple is forced into doing. He has to if he wants to stay alive, and it looks like he's even going to put down another layer of walls. So right now, Gray is really forcing Purple to spend a lot of resources and villager time here. It looks like Gray will be advancing forward. One of the nicer things about this, though, is that he will be able to pressure these houses. He might even be able to get Purple housed if he's fast enough with this. And it's still a lot of resources down the drain. That being said, though, Gray's spent a lot of money on these Mangonels and these Monks, to the point where I believe he's actually still only on 1 town center, yeah. His 2nd town center is coming up, so Purple will start pulling ahead economically. And, oh, Gray gonna convert a couple of villagers. Will he do that? What will he do with these? Yes. You gave me actual money? I didn't receive any notification. I'm sorry, Tet. I'll check that out after this game. Thank you in advance. Well. We've got a palisade wall coming down here, and it looks like Gray will be going for a very delayed villager rush by converting his opponent's villagers and trying to get some economic damage in here. Now, so what do you do when you're in a situation like this? Because this is obviously very awkward for Purple. He's being pressured very hard. One of the things you can do, and I like to see this, is that okay, so he made a makeshift wall off of houses, and then he put the stone walls behind this, and he put the stone walls behind it because they're going to take longer to build in the houses. That way he just has some defense. And then you also want to build a siege workshop near the middle or back of your base, and then build defensive mangonel and try and get some good trades, and that was an excellent trade. He ended up spending 1 mangonel to kill 2 of his opponents, so it was great for him. And if you get a good mangonel shot, you can probably take out an entire group of monks if the mangonel doesn't get converted if he has redemption. So that was excellent there for Purple. He's stalling. He's actually very barely ahead in score. Meanwhile, though, Gray does have a monk in the base, and he just has to kill this. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but this mangonel appears to be stuck. What a messy game of Age of Empires 2. There's just a villager standing here, so many skeletons, and now the villager's getting pulled off the line, pulling an HD AI. Watch them chase. So much idle time. Purple might have a bigger economy with more villagers, but he's got to be getting weakened so much. Meanwhile, Buddy, to save the day, pulling his scout cavalry that he had at the start of the game, and is going to come in here and kill this monk, thus giving Purple a little bit of breathing room. Purple does now have another mangonel. Dodges the shot. He might be able to get a 2-for-1 here, or kill a bunch of these monks. All eyes on this mangonel. He's pulling back to avoid the mangonel shot, whereas this one actually leaves that villager 1 HP. I really don't know how she lived that. Hello, Raldson. What an intense game already. I'm actually really glad. Ridiculous arena map generation. I love the surprise monks in arena. This is great. Again, killing this market will slow down Purple. It means that he won't be able to use it to trade resources, and he's going to have to replace it at some point later. That woman does finally die. 1 HP means there's no way that she can live that next mangonel blast, as I guess she just barely didn't get hit directly. I still think, though, that Purple is going to be mostly okay if he can just stall long enough. He is repairing this market, keeping it alive just a little bit longer, but he won't be able to repair it fast enough. Gray is in. Something you have to be really careful about when you're going for the strategy is not overcommitting into mangonels. Those mangonels are so clumped up. If Purple gets a shot, he could kill 3 with 1. He kills 1. He weakens 2 other mangonels. Gray has yet to fire a return shot. Oh god, he targets the house! Gray misclicks! He targets the house, and he's down 2 mangonels. Kanye Twist holds the line. Everybody's thinking he is dead, but he's still just barely okay. Here comes another market. As a makeshift wall off. Very nice. Very, very nice. And I'm assuming that this this stable here is going to be for like a light cavalry or 2, because all he needs is like 2 light cavalry or a couple scouts, and he's going to shred right through these. I think a lot of players when they go for a monk rush end up like overcommitting to too many mangonels. They don't have enough monks, or they just don't get the redemption upgrade. He needs to be so careful. Right now his mangonels just clumped up here. All Purple needs to do is inch it forward. Inch the mangonel forward. Fire the shot. Do it. Oh no! He's just sitting there and he dies. Aoe2 HD Micro, boys. Ladies and gentlemen. Another villager dies. Worst king ever. Purple sends a bunch of his peasants to a gold mine, full well knowing their enemy catapults glitched onto that blacksmith foundation. These very unsafe working conditions. Nothing is solid in AoE2 HD. Alright, another market going down the drain. Purple trying to figure out what to do with his villagers, retasking them non-stop, just like the AI. Oh no. These fellas need to go back to work. Everything crumbling. Purple doing so well in the defense, but his economy in shambles. Half of these villagers not really working. He does have a bunch of town centers at the back though, so he is doing a good job holding. He just needs to make these town centers actually doing something. For some reason, most of them are idle. Still, all these villagers are idle too. Gray steadily pulling ahead. These villagers just clumped up, sitting here. Oh god. Oh no. These villagers just ripe for the picking. This is HD Micro in a nutshell for those of you who are tired of watching the Viper stutter step like a god. If you play Aoe2 HD, it is impossible to micro that well due to the additional delay and the sketchy unit pathing. So you get situations like this where I don't blame the players. Sometimes the input delay is great enough that you really can't do too much, and the game is dragged on to the point where Gray is actually able to start adding knights into his army, and this is when Purple is screwed. He needs help badly. Now we'll see, because his other teammates are OP. They have a ridiculous score. Can Buddy save the day? Because he's been taking his sweet time. 29 minutes in the game with no help. But thankfully, though, Purple is, I think, playing this correctly because he has, at least from a general strategy standpoint, because he's putting his emphasis on building his economy right now. And this is important because if he falls too far behind economically, he's never going to crawl his way back in the game by making a measly small army. Meanwhile, it looks like Gray caught with his pants down. Knights attacking the blacksmith. The light cavalry coming in here, tearing up everything. Kill all the monks. Focus fire the monks. Don't attack the light cavalry. And don't attack the knights and the light cavalry. Overall, it looks like the monks actually got finished off by another mangonel shot, so absolutely excellent play here from Purple. All he needed was a couple light cavalry. He will not be able to get the last mangonel, but still, very, very efficient trade. Just needs to hold the line. He's putting up another little house wall here. Can he hold the line before Red comes in here with a ton of camels? This is intense. Chris says he just lost 650 stone for the mangonel shot. Did I miss him building a castle? That's even worse. Disaster. And yes, for those of you who are not aware, Promi did write the AI, and it is actually incredibly good. So when I say that it's Purple is doing a couple things that remind you of the AI, they're not things that Promi actually deliberately coded. They're just weird HD bugs. Like, for example, there's nothing Promi can do about the villagers taking, like they freeze when you attack them, and it takes sometimes like 2 to 4 seconds before they actually retask onto something. They just kind of breakdance and they spaz out a lot. There's nothing Promi could do about units spazzing out, for example. There's nothing that he can do about the villagers chasing enemy units indefinitely, so my hope is that those things get fixed at some point, because then the AI would be OP. But, like, honestly, I designed Resbot very differently because Promi's AI is so well done that I don't really think that he could have done a better job programming a non-cheating, human-like AI for AoE2 HD. It's a work of art. And something I tremendously respect. Thank you so much, Flash, for the 19-month resub. Good morning. Okay, anyway. Camels are here. Let's do it. Buddy is here to save the day. Kanye Twest not dead. And the reason, again, I can't tell you how many times I see new players make the mistake. If they're dying and they're on one town center that they have in the corner somewhere, their economy will never recover. And they're just focused on getting a really small, wimpy army of spearmen that's not really going to do anything. When you're behind, focus on building back your economy first. Pray that your teammates actually can save you in time, and I hope they do, if you did a good job stalling. Call for help, ask for tribute, try and rebuild your economy first, and then get back in the game. Meanwhile, looks like the Eagle Warriors are on the way as well, so Drapina is going to have to deal with Buddy. Buddy massing a ton of Imperial camels. He's getting very close to max upgrades on these, and this unit is just underrated in general. I think it is incredibly obnoxious to play against. Very oppressive, especially if you're a cavalry civilization. Here comes the Yellow Army, Emraden. I think I'm finally dying. The allergies are getting to me. Ugh. Ugh. The Devil Taya says, love your vids, and suggested to my friends, and some of my friends have already subscribed. Thank you so much, Devil Taya. That helps a lot. I will continue making AoE2 vids until HD reaches the end of its development cycle, but in the meantime, I'm kind of waiting for a patch right now, and I hope to be able to branch out without losing too many of my viewers. But I'll still be doing AoE2 content, don't get me wrong, until the end of the development cycle. And I have no idea how long the development cycle is for HD, but we have another patch confirmed, and rumors of a DLC that we've seen in the Steam database, so I think we got some time. And I'm really, really looking forward to that stuff. And I hope the DLC is actually real and not just a rumor. Because I remember with the E3, all the E3 rumors, which it turned out to be Halo Wars, too. I thought we were going to get AoE 4. Someday. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Street Pete is massing Elite Eagle Warriors, which is, of course, excellent unit for the Aztecs. He's going to try and engage on these Elephant Archers. Hunter ended up going for a much slower strategy than Red, and perhaps very much ill-advised. Now, I think I would have done the exact same thing, though, because Elephant Archers are very fun. So I think I would have done it anyway. The thing is, though, I think that based off the civs that your opponents have, I don't think there's ever a situation where it's right with these matchups to actually go for Elephant Archers, because if you consider the civs that your opponents have access to, you're going to be playing against an opposing Indian player. Your Elephant Archers are still Cavalry Archers, so they're very, very weak to Camels. What do the Indians get? Very strong Camels, so that's something you have to worry about. In addition to that, the Elephant Archers aren't very good against the Aztecs, because the Aztecs in the early Imperial Age, they want to take advantage of their 15% faster creation speed on military units. They want to grab those Elite Eagle Warriors. They create super quickly, they're very cheap, and before your opponent gets like stronger Imperial Age units, the Elite Eagle Warrior can be a huge power spike, so we'd expect that, and Elite Eagle Warriors have 4 pierce armor. They're very resilient against ranged attacks. Thank you so much, Mangonels, for the $10. It makes a huge difference. So I think that also Elephant Archers are really expensive, so they take a while to come out, whereas at least with the Camels, it's a little bit faster, even though Imperial Camels is still a slow strategy. I just think that Elephant Archers are probably not going to help you, and unfortunately, it looks like Green's going to die. I think right now he's putting down a bunch of barracks, I think because he wants to transition to Champions or Halberdiers, both of which I think are a good idea. I still think I would have gone for the Elephant Archers anyway, but it's just important so that when you play your own games, that you pay very close attention to your opponent's civs and what units that you think that they would be going for, and to try and avoid those type of pitfalls. Like, for example, if you're playing as 3 Goths players, and you're playing as the Britons, you're playing against 3 Goths, so you probably want to actually open up with Champions on a closed map. You probably actually want to start the game with Champions, if you can help it. Rather than opening up with Arbalest, Elite Longbowmen, or whatever you felt like normally doing. You have to kind of change up your game plan and shift from units that are just strong for your civilization and try and make ones that make more sense in that matchup. Because if you go for just archers, you're going to have a bad time. Hopefully it makes sense. Elephant Archers are an incredibly strong unit, though. I don't want anyone to get me wrong on that either. And in a lot of cases, they will be the right choice, so I completely understand why Green would do that, so it's only just for future reference. Elephant Archers are incredibly strong if you're able to mass up a lot of them, because they're so bulky. Once you get a critical mass and you can start killing units, one volley of arrows from your group of Elephant Archers one at a time, then they become really difficult to deal with because they have so much health, you can't really counter them easily. You know, you're going to have a lot of Siege Onagers, for example, a lot of Archer counters if you want to actually dent that army. So they kind of create like that death ball that can be very difficult to break, sort of reminiscent of the Koreans. Meanwhile, again, Purple and Gray just kind of on relatively even footing. It's just great to see Purple focusing in his economy, and I think Gray did an excellent job applying pressure on him. It's just a shame that that Buddy managed to get in there and actually rescue Purple before Gray was able to apply the killing blow. Drupina was a little bit slower on the assistance, but still, Yellow making a huge impact in this game. Yellow will be swinging around here, desperately trying to rescue his teammate. If Green can rebuild his economy, and if Gray can build a bigger one, I think they can pull their way back into the game, but it's gonna be close. It's gonna be close. Meanwhile, the Champions are coming out. Excellent choice here from Green. Champions, very strong counter to those Elite Eagle Warriors. And he knows that Buddy is going to try and want to be a little bit more conservative with his gold. And mixing in Hussars is very easy for him because he'll already have the stable upgrades. So, Champion's still decent against the Hussars. Overall, I like this. The Champions are okay against the Imperial Camels. It's a good decision. He's just running into the problem where right now there are too many military units in his base, and his guys just die when they spawn. It's very difficult for him to actually mass these up in time, so it's gonna be tricky. He wants to mass them up. I think the Champions are a great choice from Green. It's just he's not able to mass them up in time. But now he really needs the Jaws of Life. He needs a lot of help. But Yellow is just distracted. Yellow is being attacked by Red right now, being contained in his own base, not able to send assistance. Meanwhile, Gray trying to get some vengeance on Purple, who's going for the one-of-everything approach. He does not have any defensive upgrades on his infantry units, but that is okay. And he does have some Cavaliers. I do like, though, that he is making some longswordsmen to deal with these mass halberdiers, because his Cavaliers really won't do too much here. I think that he should not be researching the Paladin upgrade if he is. Just considering this opponent has already shown that he has fully upgraded halberdiers, or almost fully upgraded, that he wouldn't really get that much value to that upgrade. Meanwhile, I can't believe this gold mine's still intact. Yeah, I know that 35-minute Eagles is not the fastest, guys, but better sooner than later. What is that fire animation? That's a trainee. This is Aoe2 HD. Now, I think it used to look infinitely worse, right? I mean, it never looked good in the CD version because it was very odd color palette, but didn't the fire used to look much worse than this? I don't remember, though. Or was it always this bright? It's a little too bright in HD, and in AOC it's, like, way too washed out, so... You know. Hey, Mr. Ister. Lostcraft Games, can I call GG already? You guys can call GG. I think, though, that this was an awesome game, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching this, and it makes up for the last random crash, and it just goes to show that it was not Hunter's Internet, it's just a little bit of HD spaghetti. Gray really wants to get some revenge, but unfortunately, he's just not going to have enough time to do it. Overall, though, I would say very well played on their team. You know, again, major props to Twest for being able to hold the line long enough, to stall long enough for Buddy to come in there with the Imperial Camels. It can be a very difficult thing to do, and I think there's a lot to be learned from how he did it. Obviously, we could have all, you know, with enough practice, everybody could... He could have executed it maybe a little bit cleaner, but overall, his game plan was excellent. And I also liked Gray's game plan, too. I think he could have maybe come in here a little bit earlier, but overall, some excellent aggression on his part, and this is very intense early on. I always like it when something like this happens in Arena, because it's unpredictable. It really tests your caliber as a player. To be able to adapt to a situation where you're getting rushed a little bit sooner than you think you normally otherwise would be on Arena. GG, well played. Yeah, the fire did look like shit in the CD version, but now it looks weird too. It's always been weird. Your penis is overboomed a bit. I always do that. Oh man. That teal KD though. Disgusting. Buildings raised 18. Well played. Yep. As Promi says, Elite Eagle Warriors are the strongest when you reach the Imperial Age a bit faster than everyone else. Elite Eagle Warriors are so strong in the early Imperial Age because, for a lot of reasons. One, they create very quickly, you get a huge power spike from them, and they're very cheap. The upgrades aren't too expensive, and the Aztecs have a strong enough economy that they're able to get to the Imperial Age a little bit faster, and then just kind of catch people off guard before they have access to things like champions, for example, before paladins are on the field. You can very easily just flood people with an early Imperial Age from the Aztecs or the Mayans, and just kind of kill them with Eagle Warriors, even the Incas now, before they really get off the ground. Eagle Warriors become a lot worse in the later stages of the game when the battles become a little bit bigger and mobility doesn't matter as much. Because again, you're just going to be fighting these big battles, and it's going to be more difficult to raid, especially on something like Arena. Your opponents will have access to counter units, which otherwise would be very weird for them to open up with. If your opponents are opening up with mass champions, anticipating the Elite Eagle Warriors, and they somehow manage to get to the Imperial Age before you and research like 50 tiers of upgrades, then that's respectable. Sturgeon asks, so what did I do wrong? Any advice? I think you played great, man. I mentioned this in the before, and you can always watch this again when I post it on YouTube in like a week or so. It was basically this idea that I don't think Elephant Archers were the best idea to open up with. I completely understand why you would do that, though, because again, it's a very strong unit for the Indians, and you had plenty of time to get them out. It's just when we consider the Civ matchups here, you're against another Indians, and you're against an Aztecs, that the Elephant Archers probably won't get that much value. The Aztecs are almost definitely going to open up with Elite Eagle Warriors a lot of the time. And if they do, the Elephant Archers are not so good against that because the Elite Eagle Warriors is such a fast strategy. Elephant Archers are much slower to get out, and then not only that, the Eagle Warriors are good against Archers. And then you're also playing against an Indians player, and if he goes for Camels, then your Elephant Archers get bodied. So hopefully that makes sense. This aimbot, they changed it, and I think that the Incan Eagles now get additional armor and not movement speed, so they're way better now. Way better. Yeah, cartography is free, but no problem. Everything's easier in retrospect. Oh. Still, though, not bad. Some nicely sized economies. It speaks volume of Twest's decision-making when, even though he took the most damage in the game until later on, he was tied for the largest economy. So again, I like that he put that emphasis on that. So really well done on his part. And that's what allowed them to just stay in the game and eventually close it out at the end. So, again, please let me know, guys, if the commentary was helpful to you in any way. I read all your comments. I really appreciate it. So, thank you so much for your support. I got lots of other stuff on the way. Right now, I'm still waiting for an HD patch and waiting to be able to announce what I'm doing for my jobs, because that is somewhat relevant and also very exciting, but it might be a few months before I have any major announcements. But I have a lot of plans in the way. Well, and I will be continuing doing Aoe2 content throughout the development cycle of HD. In the meantime, I would still like to branch out, though, for the longevity of the channel, just to make sure that I'm able to stick around rather than, someday having to move on. Because I really like you guys. I think we have one of the best communities on YouTube and Twitch. So I'd like to be able to branch out. So again, I appreciate the support. If I ever post anything that... like, for example, Kirby, if you resist the urge to leave a thumbs down, I appreciate it. So thank you in advance. No, allergies. We're going to be right back after the break, and then play another game of Age of Empires 2. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back. Stalin versus the Martians. Yeah, that's what I meant by branching out. We're going to do nothing but Stalin versus the Martians. No, there's still plenty of AoE2 for the rest of the dev cycle. I can't wait for that patch. Alright, guys. We'll be right back. Thank you for the support. GG, well played. Stay tuned. 2 minutes.